Hello everyone. I'm very happy that you've returned to my channel. Today is a very gentle story, but one that touches something very deep inside. One morning, as the sunlight gently filtered through the leaves, not too harsh, not too bright, just enough to light up the green of a small garden, Tien began her day, just like any other. Nothing too different, yet carrying a very distinct feeling. She stepped into the garden, her footsteps light, as if she had long been familiar with every path. The space around her still held the morning dew. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of soil, of leaves. A very simple scent, yet one that brought a sense of ease. On the bitter melon vines, each leaf still held tiny droplets, sparkling under the early sunlight. Tien reached out, gently touched them. The droplets trembled, then fell. A very small moment, yet enough to make her smile softly. She began her familiar work, harvesting bitter melons in the garden. No rush, no haste. Every movement slow and steady. She gently lifted each fruit, observed, then cut. The young green melons, growing evenly, like the efforts of each day, gradually showing results. She looked at them, not just with her eyes, but with her feelings. A sensation hard to describe. Light, yet enough to calm her heart. Bitter melon carries a very distinct bitterness. Not everyone likes it, but to her, it felt familiar. So familiar that just seeing it was enough to bring back memories. Like the days that had passed, the hardships, the pressure, everything she and Jack had faced together. Some things, at the beginning, are very hard to accept, very hard to understand. Sometimes, even something we want to avoid. But then, as time passes, as we learn to face them, everything slowly changes. No longer too heavy, no longer too difficult, but becomes a part of life. A part that cannot be separated. Tien continued her work. The melons were picked one by one, placed neatly beside her. She didn't work fast, but not slow either. Just keeping a rhythm that suited her. A rhythm where she felt no pressure, only focus and a little peace. After finishing the harvest, she sat down, arranging them again. Each melon was placed neatly into the basket, not overlapping, not rushed. She checked once more, out of habit, not because of worry, but because she wanted everything to be orderly. The basket slowly filled up, not too heavy, but enough for her to feel the effort of the morning. She stood up, lifted the basket onto her shoulder. A familiar motion, requiring no thought. Then stepped out of the garden, heading toward the village market. The road wasn't long, but enough to give her a quiet moment. The surroundings gradually filled with sounds, voices, motorbikes, yet still held a certain calmness. The small market came into view. Not noisy, not crowded, just simple stalls, tarps, baskets, carriers, displayed naturally. Familiar faces were already there. Greetings were exchanged. No need for many words, yet enough to create closeness. Tien chose a small corner, put her basket down, gently arranged the melons. Neatly. No decoration needed. No need to stand out. Just keeping their freshness was enough. Please buy some, these melons are very fresh today. Her voice rose. Softly. Not rushed. Not hurried. Just a very natural invitation. People passed by. Some stopped to look. Some asked for the price. Some picked one up. Then put it back. Some bought. Just a few. But to tutien, each moment like that held its own meaning. Not just about selling, but the feeling that what she made was accepted by others. Time passed. Not too fast, but not slow either. The sunlight grew stronger. The market became a bit busier. The basket of melons, little by little, emptied. Not sold out completely, but enough for her to feel that her morning had not been meaningless. By the end, only a few remained. She looked at them, then nodded slightly. Kept them. Not because they couldn't be sold, but to bring home. Some for dinner. Some for herself. She packed up. It didn't take long. Everything had already been neat. The basket, lighter than in the morning. But in her heart, there was something more. Not a great joy, but a sense of fullness. On the way back, the sky began to change. Clouds slowly gathered. Not too thick, but enough to soften the sunlight. The wind became gentler. The air cooler. A very pleasant feeling. She slowed her steps a little. Not because she was tired, but because she wanted to enjoy it. Moments like this don't always come. Passing by a small shop, she stopped, looked inside, then walked in. Chose some meat. Not much. Just enough. The essentials for a meal. In her mind, she had already planned it. No hesitation. No overthinking. Just simple dishes. But familiar. A meal. Not fancy. Not luxurious. But warm. Enough that when sitting down, she could feel the peace after a day. And also a continuation of what lies ahead. Waiting. Back home. As the door gently closed behind her, the familiar space appeared once again. Not spacious. Not fully furnished. But carrying a very special feeling. A feeling that only when returning can truly be recognized. Tien didn't rest for long. She set the basket down, carefully arranging what she had just brought back. The remaining bitter melons were placed aside. The meat she had just bought was taken out as well, prepared for dinner. Everything unfolded naturally, like a habit, repeated many times. She began preparing. The sound of the knife against the cutting board. Steady. Not fast. Not rushed. But decisive. The sound of running water. Gentle. Blending into the space. Creating familiar rhythms. Not noisy, but enough to make the kitchen feel alive. The aroma of food gradually spread. At first faint, then richer. Blending together, creating a sense of closeness. The small kitchen had not changed much, but in that moment, it felt warmer than ever. Not because something new appeared, but because there was care, there was attention, and there was heart placed into every little detail. Tien cooked bitter melon soup stuffed with minced meat. A familiar dish, but never truly simple. Each melon was carefully prepared. The meat seasoned just right. They couldn't be ignored. The topic of the bank, of the debt, came up again. Not unexpected, because it had always been there. Just waiting to be faced. Jack spoke. Not fast. Not rushed. Each sentence, each word, came out slowly. He had tried, searched for ways, struggled to manage. Not once, but many times. But everything only led to asking for more time. Not much, just a short period. But in this situation, it was extremely valuable. Tien stayed silent, didn't interrupt, didn't react immediately. She listened, not just with her ears, but with understanding. No blame, no complaints, no questions that would make things heavier. Just calmness. After a while, she spoke softly. Maybe we should sell part of the farm. Her voice was gentle. Not loud. Not rushed. But clear. It was not an easy thing to say. Not something that could come in a moment. But a decision. A decision that had been carefully considered. Because that place was not just land. Not just property. But effort. Days they had built together. Hopes once placed there. But she understood. There are times holding on to everything is not the only way. There are times you have to let go to keep what matters more. As long as we still have each other. She continued. Her voice softer. But not weaker. Anywhere is fine. No hesitation. No visible regret. Just certainty. Jack looked at her. Didn't answer right away. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because he understood. Understood that her words were not light. Understood that behind that calmness was everything she had accepted. His gaze rested on her longer than usual. No words needed, but enough to show gratitude, appreciation, and understanding. Not everyone can stay calm beside each other when things are this difficult. Not everyone is willing to think about giving up what they've built just to ease the burden for the person beside them. In that moment, no more words were needed, but everything seemed clear. That no matter what lay ahead, at least right now, they were still together. And that was enough to keep going. That night, no final decision was made. No firm conclusions. No clear plans for the next day. There was only a quiet pause. But within that silence, there was no emptiness. Instead, it held so many things that had been understood, that had been felt. After dinner, everything became quieter. The soft clinking of dishes, the sound of running water in the small kitchen. Everything slowed down, no longer rushed. Tien cleaned up, as she always did. Familiar movements, requiring no thought. But this time, in every motion, there was a slight heaviness. Not because she was tired, but because what had just been said still lingered. Jack sat there, not leaving right away. He didn't immediately help, but he didn't distance himself either. He simply stayed, looking toward the kitchen, where she stood. A silence that was not uncomfortable, not heavy, but a silence where each of them could sort through their thoughts. No need to say more. No need to repeat anything. Yet both of them understood clearly. Understood that the road ahead would not be easy. Not just passing difficulties, but possibly long days. Days when things wouldn't go as planned. Days when pressure kept building. Days when even the smallest thing could weigh heavily on the heart. There might still be times of exhaustion, not just from work, but from trying, from holding on, from having limited choices. There might still be times of pressure, not only from the outside, but from within, from thoughts, from worries, from unanswered questions. And there might also be tears, not always able to be held back, not always able to stay strong. There are moments when emotions take over. But among all of that, there is one thing that does not change. It doesn't need to be spoken, yet it is always there. As long as they can still sit together at a meal, even if it isn't complete, even if it's just simple dishes. No need for perfection. No need for anything elaborate. Just being there, facing each other, being together. That alone is enough. For a reason, a very real reason, to keep going. Not struggling alone, not forcing themselves to endure, but walking together. Tien finished cleaning. She wiped her hands, then stepped out. She didn't speak right away, just sat down beside Jack. The distance not far, but not too close either. A distance just enough to feel. The space once again became quiet. No more sounds, only their presence. No need to look at each other for long. No need to say much. Yet they understood. Understood that, even without a decision, they were no longer on separate sides, but moving in the same direction. A direction not yet clear, but one they could continue on. Because sometimes happiness is not about having everything, not about completeness, not about the absence of hardship, but when, in the hardest moments, they still have each other, still have someone sitting beside them, not needing to solve every problem, not needing to have all the answers. Just being there is already enough. Enough to make everything feel lighter. Enough to make the pressure less heavy. Enough to make the steps ahead less lonely. But life does not stop at peaceful moments. Understanding each other does not make everything easy. Being together does not remove all challenges. The decision to sell the farm still remains. Not yet made. Not yet confirmed. But something that cannot be avoided. Is it the right path? Or just a temporary choice? In a difficult time? And if they let go, what will remain ahead? Will the challenges finally ease? Or continue to come? Will things become lighter? Or even harder? All of it. Still questions. Without answers. And the journey of Tien and Jack. After this seemingly peaceful moment, what else will they have to face? Stay tuned for the next episode to find out.
Chào mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Mình đang làm video về câu chuyện của Tiên và Jack này. Hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang làm và chưa có xong. Bây giờ thì mình đang đến bước là đặt tên trên video. Kênh của mình thì cũng mới làm thôi, và bữa nay mình bận thì mình lên video cũng không có đều cho lắm. Mình hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ yêu quý và ủng hộ cho kênh của mình nhiều hơn, và đặc biệt là sẽ đăng ký kênh và bật chuông thông báo lên để có thể đón chờ những video tiếp theo nhé mọi người. Mình đang đặt tên cho video sao cho thật cuốn hút. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo. Bye bye.